Still to come in sports world, champion jumps jockey Jamie Evans is out to overcome his biggest hurdle ever, to ride again after a fall which nearly killed him. Rugby union, and we meet two young wallabies about to take on the world. We'll have the week's action in motorsport. Nigel Mansell wins his second consecutive Grand Prix, and the BMWs knock off the Nissans in the 8th round of the Touring Car Championship. Still on racing, and Kyle Petty tells how injury has affected his outlook on the sport his family is famous for. And all the action in Rugby League and AFL.
So as Kim's just told us, plenty still to come, including Jamie Evans, the jockey who suffered a horrific crash at Sandown in May. Let's take a look at this fall. Georgie's son Jamie was riding. He comes to this fence and goes crashing into it. Jamie's right elbow was so badly smashed that the doctors didn't even bother to repair it. They took out the remains and put in a steel plate. His bone from a lower left leg was protruding so bad he's got 6 rods inserted there. They said that he probably wouldn't ride again. Well, here's Jamie, living proof, with the 6 rods sticking out of the leg, which I probably guess if you're having breakfast this morning isn't the best sight. Good morning, Jamie. Welcome.
Good morning, Bruce.
And I know that, you know, they said that you may not ride again. You reckon you might be back by January?
Hopefully by January, yeah. The doctors give me 12 to 18 months, but the way I feel, I mean, the arm's nearly 100% now, so I think I'll be back by January, yeah.
Well, Keith Elliott, welcome. How are you, Keith?
Welcome, Bruce. You should have warned viewers there that the following scene might offend. That's a gruesome sight, Jamie's leg, isn't it?
It is a gruesome sight. Jamie, talk about the rehabilitation for a moment, what you've been going through to try and get yourself back into some sort of order.
Oh, well, it's very hard to get used to sort of being fit and athletic and then all of a sudden being confined to a wheelchair for about 3 weeks and then crutches and going through all the rehabilitation. It's very hard to come to terms with, but the people at the rehab have been very good to me. They've been great. The physios and the doctors there have been really good, and they've made it so much easier. I mean, some of the people there, you know, they've got so much courage. I mean, they've had strokes and things like that. So really looking at my injury, that's nothing compared to them.
Keith, I often wonder about jumps jockeys, how they recover after a fall like this. Jamie's as keen as mustard to get back on the saddle. A lot of blokes would be wanting to give it away, you'd think, after this.
Yeah, sure, Bruce. He's got a lot to go through, having been through a lot. And Jamie, you would have ridden, I presume, Georgie's son in the National, and his jockey said that he was in a winning position, felt he might have been right in the finish had he not been tangled up in that multiple fall.
Yeah, Georgie's son's a very good horse. He's brilliant on his day, but I don't know, he's a bit unreliable sometimes, and I think he's a bit too intelligent, really.
Jamie, it's a battle, isn't it, for survival in the state for cross-country jockeys. Most of them have another job to support their income. So apart from the physical setback that this crash has cost you, is it a financial struggle also?
No, well, it is in a sense, because it's a very bad time to be out, as you know. It's the jumping season, and well, I done very well. I done fairly well as an apprentice, so I've got a fair book put away, and I'm not doing too bad. If I'm back by January, everything will probably be all right. Yeah, I'll survive.
So, Jamie, going really from a flat jockey to a jumps jockey because of weight problems. I mean, you're taller than a lot of riders. What about your nerve? I spoke to Keith about it, the fact that it must be tough for jumps jockeys to get back. Is it something that you're fearful of, that you may in fact be afraid when you go back out there?
Well, no one will know, or I won't know until I actually get out on the track, but I think that all jockeys somewhere along the line go through a major injury. Darren Gauci, for instance, had a severe head injury and he made it back. I mean, that's one thing to come to terms with, especially riding over jumps. I mean, there's always the fear of going to have a major fall, but I'm sure this is not too bad and I'll be back.
And just finally, the pain, the leg or the elbow, I mean, which was more severe, was it a combination?
Well, with this frame, as you can see, it sticks out a fair way, and every now and again you tend to knock it on things, and when that happens you get a fair amount of pain.
How was the top one bent, Jamie?
I rolled over in bed one night and I bent the top one, so, you know, you've got to be very careful, especially not being used to something like this.
Well, it's an amazing story, and stay with us because we're going to see some races, including the Grand National shortly, and you can make a comment on that. Keith Rechabite, a good story for a jockey there yesterday. He made the right decision to go up there and ride the horse.
Yes, and Rechabite, having his first test beyond 1,500 metres, was surprisingly quite strong at the end of 1,600 metres, Bruce, and it was a win that he deserved.
And Greg Charles, the winning rider, as we go to Eagle Farm for the Tattersalls Mile, $75,000 race. Rechabite, who's been really the unlucky runner of the winter in Brisbane.
Up next is Rechabite, followed by Scintilla Jonaron. Then Hysterical starting to go forward. King Round Tie a little bit deep as they approach the corner. He's 3 and 4 wide. Followed by Donatil High, Bernard Young Cabinia and Caro's Romance. Into the straight, 450 metres to go. Stan Marek heads for home, a length in front of Don't Play and Yuppie. Piper's Bell getting a nice run close to the inside. Rechabite's joining in quickly. He's going to these leaders. They're followed by Jonaron, King Round Tie and Young Cabinia. 200 metres to go. Rechabite's taken the lead. It's Rechabite in front of Stan Marek. They're clear of Don't Play, Piper's Bell. Young Cabinia is charging home on the outside. Rechabite's in front and he's going to ring up number 1. Yes, Rechabite first. Rechabite beats Stan Marek or Young Cabinia.
That horse has won 630,000, Keith. For a horse that you wouldn't say is top class.
No, he's not. He's probably only a length or so below it, though, Bruce. And Tommy Hughes Jr. is the caretaker trainer, and he'll decide the next day or two whether to bring him back to Melbourne or keep him in Queensland, where he's obviously enjoying the break.
He might be a chance in a race on the final day of the Spring Carnival, that big mile race, the Honda Stakes at Flemington, because he can get a mile now, and he likes Flemington.
And he must have a dry track.
Yes. Yesterday, the Winter Cup in Sydney, a $40,000 race. Sydney racing really dominated by Shane Dye. He was at his very best here on a horse called Webster's Wish.
Golden Galleon struggling. Webster's Wish has run up on the fence and now he switches around the heels of the leader and in turn pushes Royal Marine 3 deep on the corner, followed by Il Sorbo. Beau Monarch is strung up behind them at the moment, and then Lavero followed by Maharaja in need of a run as they turn the corner into the straight now. Webster's Wish took the lead, straightening up, and he's trying to pinch a break. Webster's Wish dashed away, led by a length and a half to Zigzag Blitz, followed by Royal Marine, and Il Sorbo starting to run on well. Beau Monarch is doing absolutely nothing, but Shane Dye looking for a treble. Webster's Wish is well clear, 100 out. Maharaja down the outside is coming fast with Il Sorbo. Webster's Wish stopping to a walk, but he's going to hold them at bay. In fact, right on the line, he was going as well as they were. Webster's Wish beat Maharaja, third Il Sorbo.
Keith, that race over 2,400, but I'm not putting him in my Melbourne Cup tips.
No, aren't you? Fine. You should put Shane Dye in your considerations, though, Bruce. He went to the races yesterday on 99.5. He rode a treble. He emerged as the first jockey for 13 years to ride 100 winners in a season in Sydney, and the first Kiwi jockey ever to do it.
Well, he's done a great job, and we take a look at Shane Dye's performance.
Since traversing the Tasman 6 years ago, Shane Dye has taken the Australian racing industry by storm, winning 3 Golden Slippers and the Melbourne Cup in 1989.
And Terrific's going to win the Cup for Lee Friedman. Terrific kicked away and wins it. Quinella for Lee.
Now, for the first time, Shane Dye is set to win the Sydney Jockeys Premiership. And along the way, he's reached another milestone, joining the exclusive club of jockeys that's won 100 races in a single season. The century came up in the first race at Rose Hill, with Dye riding the 11-to-8 favourite Bo Channon to victory by a nose from Chrome Blade in the Kyandra handicap.
In front, Chrome Blade is lunging as they get to the line, and right on the line, it's
After
pretty
joining
close.
the likes of Billy Cook and George Moore, it was a very special moment for Dye, almost as precious as some of his big race victories.
Nothing will better my 3rd Golden Slipper, but this is a very excited moment for me, and I will always treasure it, but it's pretty hard to beat that 3rd Golden Slipper.
But San Pedro at the 200 mark is race clear of all dry. In the cards running on well, but Dye's not going to rest on his laurels. His win number 101 coming up, and San Pedro storms away and wins easily from all dry. In the cards 3rd.
The Kiwi went on to ride 2 more winners to raise his victory tally to 102. And even though there's only a couple of weeks left in the season, he doesn't believe it will be long before Billy Cook's record of 124.5 wins will be bettered.
Like if I'd stayed in Sydney all season this year, I've missed about 3.5 months, 3.5 months of riding in Sydney, you would be able to better it. But then again, that means sacrificing the big races in Melbourne and in Brisbane, and I'm not prepared to do that any time.
Now he's past the century mark, Dye can look forward to claiming the Sydney Jockeys Premiership, a prize which he says will be an honour, but not one which pays the bills.
I've really tried the last 3 or 4 months, as I've always stated, to try and win it very, very hardly this year, because I put myself in that position. But you don't get paid for winning premierships, unfortunately. It's just the honour, and the honour's great. But those big race wins are the ones I'll be chasing.
He's very frank and very honest. A refreshing character. I really like talking to him, don't you?
Yes, I do, Bruce. He's very much a businessman. And incidentally, while Shane Dye has the premiership bottled up with a near record score, Jack Denham edged within half a win yesterday of Vic Thompson, and there was an unconfirmed sighting of a smile on Jack's face.
I don't believe it. I still want you to get that interview if he wins it.
Oh, sure, yeah.
How many years has it been since Jack's spoken to the press?
Well, has he ever?
Not to me. Might try and get him on the show in the next couple of weeks. The Star Affair Handicap at Caulfield, the feature race there yesterday. Fairly low-key day, but a good finish, and a horse who won his first race in almost 2 years. Expected Journey.
Down the side, 700 metres left to go, and Durham Rivers is just the leader here from Bahrain. Expected Journey third over on the inside, being followed by Foxwise, who's running on well. And then came Dwaned, followed by Isle from Headingley. Doc Savage behind them. Rule the Stars is a long way back. Persidium second last, and Lose Mate is last of all. Near the turn, Durham Rivers a half length clear of Bahrain. Expected Journey making a run. Foxwise in behind them, followed by Isle, Doc Savage. Then Headingley at the head of the others. Rule the Stars under a ton of pressure, followed by Dwaned as they straighten up. Durham Rivers the leader. Tackled by Bahrain, the centre, down the outside, Expected Journey, then Foxwise is deep on the track, then came Isle, followed by Doc Savage, and Headingley finishing well from a long way back now. Expected Journey is grabbed by Foxwise, who's running on brilliantly, and Foxwise on the outside has gone up to tackle. Expected Journey is battling on well. Expected Journey, Foxwise, they hit the line. Expected Journey's won it. Expected Journey from Foxwise with Bahrain third, Rule the Stars fourth.
Close finish there and some vigour shown on the winner.
Yes, and the winner was ridden by Mark Flaherty, and that was one of 3 wins for him at Caulfield yesterday. Bruce, his first city treble. The way he's riding, I'm sure there'll be more to come, and next Saturday he goes to Cheltenham to ride the 2-year-old something dancer.
Oh, in the Lightning Stakes?
Yes.
The 2 and 3-year-old race, yes.
Race for 2 and 3-year-olds. Yeah. I'll think of the name before we finish.
Bet you don't.
All right.
You've got a minute and a half.
All right. I could $1. I'm not confident.
I'll get that Band-Aid out if you start talking $1. Jamie, so speaking of Adelaide, the Grand National yesterday, no real surprise to see My Court Jewel win. He did fall on the Grand National here, but he's a terrific horse, isn't he?
Oh, he's a very good horse. He's been, well, what I've seen of him, he's had a lot of bad luck. In the Moonee Valley Hurdle last year, he hit a jump very heavily and he looked like he was going to be right in the race. He's won a Moonee Valley Hurdle, I think, 2 years ago. I think it was the same year he won the National in Adelaide, yeah. So he's won that race twice now.
Well, he's had 18 wins and 250,000. Got a horrible feeling Keith might think of this name. Let's go to the Grand National in Adelaide.
Over the next on the side, they go to the 800, and Catmanite got 2 in front of Robsy. Only a length and a half away. Mike Court Jewel chasing second Grand National Hurdle win. But Robsy's come away from behind Catmanite at the top of the straight to make a claim. Back behind those then came Mike Court Jewel as Robsy goes to the lead. Then Art Style into the clear. They were followed further back by Southern Mystery. Over the third last one, Robsy 2 clear. Mike Court Jewel, Catmanite and Art Style are making their challenges, and then another nugget. Mike Court Jewel comes out after this leader. It's Robsy at the second last, a length and a half to 2 clear of My Court Jewel. It jumped it all right. Third placing Art Style, then another nugget followed by Golden Ninja whacking away. My Court Jewel is wearing down Robsy as they come to the last. They take off. Robsy headed by My Court Jewel. Is this My Court Jewel's second Grand National for dominant? It is. My Court Jewel is coming away, and My Court Jewel will dominate in the dominant Grand National. It's cleaned them up by about 3 to Robsy. Third I'm not sure about.
Yes, Ron Pepps, he couldn't help himself there, Ronnie. The clean up with the dominant. He is a good horse, My Court Jewel, and a good hardy galloper, Jamie. Now, Jamie, all the best. We hope that you are back this time next year and make this tremendous recovery. We wish you well.
Thanks very much, Bruce.
Any luck, Keith?
Yes, Noble Lancer was the horse, Bruce. It won a Blue Diamond Prelude. You're in trouble, big trouble. You're down for $1.
Here's the $1. There it is.
You're paying.
Keith, I want the receipt. I'll have a receipt.
Well, a friend of yours, his name is Sean, told me that you wouldn't give anyone the steam off your porridge, but this proves it right.
I'll catch up with that Sean, whoever he might be.
Yes.
I tell you what, if you're lucky, I'll give you a Melbourne Cup tip. Because next week the weights come out.
Yes, and you'll be speaking with Jim Bowler.
Yes.
And also next week, Hiskin Steeple Day. Last day for Ian McEwen. And Bruce Marr mentioned that Brian Martin, my colleague at 3UZ, won the Victoria Media Personality of the Year this week at the Variety Club for his call of the Japan Cup.
Well deserved. It was a sensational call. We'll take a break. Rugby Union after this.
Bobby takes